Hello, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Intentionally Delusional. I'm your host, Jenna Rose, and thank you so much for clicking on today's episode. Today, I kind of just want to skip any life update, skip anything like that. I just really want to get into the bulk of the episode because today we are doing a 2025 reset. And this is going to be a short little series of multiple parts because when putting it together, I realized there's so much to a reset. There's so much to making a new year great. There's so many parts of it that I decided to break it up into. First, I was going to do 2 parts. I think this is going to be at least a 3-part series though. Maybe 4, but probably a 3-part series. So if this is your first time listening to this podcast, hello. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for clicking on this episode. This is a great episode to start off with because we're going to do a 2025 reset. And honestly, let's skip all the bullshit. Let's just get right into the episode. Okay. So 2025 is coming up. When I'm recording this, it's coming up tomorrow, okay? I am recording this on December 31st, 2024, okay? So by the time anyone is hearing this, it's gonna already be 2025, so Happy New Year, y'all! I hope the new year has been a good start for you so far. I hope it's going well. I just wish you all the best in this upcoming year, okay? Now, me personally, when I was sitting down to figure out, okay, what's my 2025 gonna look like? What are the goals? What do I need to do? What is in my reset? My reset was automatically looking forward. I was like, okay, what do I need to do in 2025? But honestly, I want to talk to y'all. I want to tell y'all the number one mistake I see made every single year when it comes to New Year's prep or anything like that, or even just like a quarterly reset. However you do your resets, this is the number one mistake that I see made. And I'm not saying, oh, outwardly, this is bad for everyone. Like, y'all do that and I'm better than you. I only realized this because I realized I was making this mistake. I realized that I was looking forward into 2025 without even reflecting on 2024, which is, in my opinion, the number one mistake that we are making when setting New Year's resolutions, setting new goals, anything like that. We are forgetting to reflect on where we are currently and what we have done. Okay, I will go into this in more in depth later in the episode, but during 2024, I saw myself very poorly. I thought this year was really a waste. I really thought that not necessarily a waste, but I thought I didn't accomplish anything. I thought that I saw myself like very bum. I thought of myself, it felt gross. I didn't like the life I was living currently. Like, it just felt like I was doing everything wrong. 2024 is my very first year not being in school since I was like 2. Okay. This was my first post-grad year. I graduated university in December of 2023. So really, this is my first year post-grad, and I want to do a whole episode on that eventually, so let me know if y'all want to hear that, because I do have a lot to say. I feel like I learned a lot this year, specifically relating to how this year was a big change, because, well, every year I feel like is a big change, but this year specifically, the change was post-grad. So it's really like, I'm not all of a sudden following a schedule. I'm not adhering to anyone. And yes, I chose to go to college. Like, I chose that, but it's still, I was going into debt for that. So it wasn't like, oh, I can just not do it. Like, I was going to do it. Okay. I was like, I gotta finish this. So it still felt like high school. Like, not necessarily like high school, but you know what I mean, in the sense that your life is controlled and centered around school. Like, that's what you do. It's school, it's courses, it's classes. And there wasn't even this like big grand finale at the end of 2023. It was just like, yeah, there was graduation, but none of my family came to my graduation. Like, my last semester of school was the hardest semester of college yet so far. just in terms of, I mean, a lot of stuff, but there was no big thing. I just didn't register for classes the next year. Like, I really thought I would get this, like, wow, I did it. Like, and honestly, I feel like I didn't feel this, like, wow, proud moment because I really didn't reflect. I really just jumped right into 2024. I was so excited for 2024. I was so excited for a new year because 2023 wasn't bad at all. I did some amazing things in 2023. Okay, amazing life changes happened in 2023. But I was so, just by December, I was so done with school. I was so done with everything. I just wanted a new year. I could not wait for a refresh. And I did my vision boards. I did all that. But I went straight into it so excited without even reflecting. I don't want to make that same mistake this year. And I don't want y'all to make that same mistake this year because let me tell you, I took the time this year to reflect. These past couple days, I've been reflecting on my 2024. Y'all, when I say, like, how I was telling y'all that I felt really bad about myself, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything. When I was writing down all the stuff that I accomplished this year, I was like, okay, Jenna, let's make a list. What all did we get done? What all happened this year? What all big milestones did we achieve? Holy fucking shit. Like, I feel so much better. Going into 2025, I didn't even know what I wanted my goals to be. I didn't even know what I wanted my life to look like. Like, I know, like, I have dreams. I do. I have dreams and I have goals, but I didn't have a direction. And really, I was second guessing everything. Like, I don't even live at my own place, which is, by the way, so normal for a 21-year-old, okay? If you're 21, 22, whatever, and you still live not on your own, that's okay. Okay? I want you to know that's okay. And I'm saying that because that is something that I needed to hear. That's something that I currently do still need to put into my brain, that it's okay. It's okay that I don't have a place of my own. And I feel like because I went from having a place of my own to not having a place of my own, then it's like, but I feel so much better about myself. I feel like this year I had so much courage. I feel like I had so much self-confidence this year. I feel like I grew so much. I feel like I was true to myself this year. More so realizing that where I was at the beginning of 2024 was so unaligned with me. It was so unaligned. And I felt that in the moment. I just didn't really know how to get out of it. And there is also the struggle of, not that it's super comfortable, but it kind of is. Like, it's the now, you know. I'm not chasing these dreams I have. I'm very much settling for less. And I just have to make it work. But this year I realized that no, that's not true. My camera decided to stop recording. Oh, by the way, did I even say this? This is the first time we're on video. I think I totally missed that. Maybe I talked about it. I don't know. We are trying video. By we, I mean me. I'm trying video for the very first time, very intentionally delusional. I hope it works out. I just realized that my camera decided to stop recording. I don't know how long it stopped recording for. I have no clue. And then I almost lost my entire audio that I've recorded so far. So, sorry for that interruption, but let's get back into it. Okay, so let's go over. The number one mistake made every year when prepping for the new year is not reflecting on the year prior. Okay, so that's number one. Now, there's a couple ways to go all in on this. Reflection is really broad, okay? It's not that I used to not look at the year prior. I would always look at the New Year's resolutions that I would set. And I do want to talk about that for a sec. Hold on. For anyone that's like, oh my God, New Year's resolutions. Like, I've talked about this on the podcast before, but I do want to bring it up since it is like a New Year's episode. I want to bring up the topic of New Year's resolutions because they have a really bad rap. There's a lot of people, they don't like the New Year's resolutions. They're like, it's so stupid. Like, why can't you just change tomorrow? Like, okay. You're saying that, but let's see, what are your life circumstances? And where do you want to be? And are you chasing those goals? Are you actively pursuing them? Are you setting goals? Are you doing all that? If you're not, I feel like you, TBH, I feel like you don't have room to talk. Like, if you're not actively going after the things you want, if you don't have a plan to make your goals come true, if you don't have goals, I feel like you can't say shit about other people wanting to do New Year's resolutions. Because the thing about it is that it is just a great refresh. It is everyone, not everyone, but like the majority of people right now are like in this new energy. They've got these like high vibrations. They're all about, yes, change, like new year, new me. All in all, there's just this really good energy in the air for us to harness. And really, if everyone else around you is like, yeah, I'm gonna better myself. Like, I'm January 1st going to the gym. I just started a new gym membership. I'm making all these goals, like whatever. If those people around you are doing that, you're gonna be motivated to do that. If the people around you are shitting on New Year's resolutions and are like, oh, whatever, and they just continue doing the same exact fucking thing that they did the year prior, but then also living their life complaining about it, babe, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably not in the right circle of people. And honestly, it's okay, because me too. Literally, me fucking too. You know, the whole thing where you are a product of the 5 people you are closest to. The thing is, I really don't have my circle, my table of 5 people currently for like real life. I don't necessarily want to become a product of. And I can recognize that and I can acknowledge that. And I don't think that's mean, because I know what I want to strive for and I know who I'm around, right? I know the life I'm living. I know the lives of the people I'm around. I know the lives of the 5 people I'm around, and I don't want to be a product of that. I want a better group of 5 people, right? See, where that comes in is like, I'm not shitting on my circle of 5 people. It's just, I don't want this current life for myself. I know in my heart that I can do better. I have a lot of big dreams. I feel like I'm a big dreamer, but also crazy enough, I do feel like I have the skills. Like, I do feel like I have it within me to make those dreams happen. And even crazier, I really do feel like I have the courage to chase those dreams, to even see if they can come true. And they may not. I mean, they will. I think they will. But I have the courage to see. And that's what I'm doing. I mean, right now, like even a product like this podcast, like the fact that I started a podcast this year, by the way. Okay, big shit, honestly. This podcast I started this year, and I'm so fucking happy that I just did it. I just did it one night. It was just so good. But anyways, I want you to fuck all the people. No, not actually like fuck, but like fuck all the people that shit on New Year's resolutions. Fuck them, okay? If you want to make some goals for the new year, fucking do it. If you want to make, instead of for the entire year of 2025, if you want to make goals for just the first quarter of the year, fucking do it. If you just want to make goals for January, fucking do it. Do not let anyone stop you or say it's stupid or say it's silly or say that New Year's resolutions never work or whatever. Don't let that energy get to you. Please don't. Listen to me now, because you can control that circle of 5 people. So I heard this thing, and I do want to share it because it's changed my mind so much. If you don't have that circle of 5 people per se, then if you are consuming a certain influencer or certain content from somebody, they're kind of in your circle. You know, if you're listening to them yap more than you're listening to some of the other people in your life yap, the content you're consuming and that person is probably going to rub off on you, and you're probably going to be influenced by them, right? So choosing who you listen to, what content you consume. I personally, for myself, I have a mind diet. Included in that is like, I want to make sure, just like in your diet, like, yeah, you can try to pick all the bad things up, but realistically, if you just fill it with a bunch more good, those bad things, they can stay and you don't actually have to label them as bad, you know? But just make sure you're filling it with good, right? Fill your plate with good. I want to fill my circle with good. So to do that, I listen to podcasts. I watch YouTube videos. I am consuming content from those who I would want in my circle, okay? And so I do recommend, if you don't have a circle of 5 people, or your circle of 5 people isn't really what you really do want to become a product of, change that, okay? And I'm not saying cut everyone out of your life. By no means am I saying that. However, if you do need to set some boundaries, babe, set the boundaries. And if you do need people out of your life, kick them the fuck out of your life. However, I'm not saying to do that to fucking everyone. I'm just saying, if you know damn well you don't want to be a product of the 5 people you're closest with, change that, and change that by the content you're consuming. Change it by a simple way of maybe follow a couple influencers or content creators or someone that they have the life you want to live. And I'm not saying to a T, like you want their life completely. I'm just saying if they're living your dream job, if they're doing the thing, if they're living the kind of lifestyle that you aspire to live, put them at your circle. You don't have to know them personally on a one-on-one first name basis, chatting with them, texting them, for them to be in your circle, in my opinion. If you're constantly consuming their content, inevitably they're going to be in your circle of people. Okay, in my opinion. Moving on, we are going to be looking at the vision board, the goals, the bucket list, whatever you had for 2025 to get done. Your list of goals, your New Year's resolutions. We're going to be looking at that. What did you accomplish? What didn't you accomplish? Take a mental note of all of this. In fact, I'd recommend setting about 20 minutes aside to do this specific activity. And not saying that it necessarily takes 20 minutes, but I think you should cut out 20 minutes because it gives you thinking time to really think and analyze, and not overanalyze to where you're reading into things, but take a look at it. It's important. You set those goals. That's what you've been striving for all year. I mean, if you think about it, your goals determine the decisions you make, your outcome that you want to live, like what goals you set, what priorities are on your to-do list, whatever's on your bucket list, whatever. But set aside 20 minutes to do this so that you have time to think. Think about what you accomplished, but also think about what did you make progress towards. You don't necessarily have to accomplish the goal for it to have been a success. Let's say you were striving for it. Maybe you didn't accomplish it, but because you set the goal of reading 20 books, okay? Let's just use that as an example. Because you set the goal of reading 20 books this year, you may have read 15, okay? You might have not been a reader before this. You may have read like 1 book a year, maybe 2 books a year, whatever. But all of a sudden you had a goal for doing 20 books. So all of a sudden your plan changed and you were reading more. You were actively implementing more reading time. You were making sure you had more books. You were whatever. And you read 15. 15 is still a lot closer to 20 than it is to 1 or 2. Okay? Just because you may not have completely finished your goals doesn't mean that it was a waste. Okay? And I want you to get that into your brain. Just because you did not accomplish it does not mean you didn't make progress towards it, okay? And really, honestly, evaluate, where did said goal even come from? Where did it even come from? Is it something that you truly, truly wanted? I have stuff that's on my 2024 goals list that I didn't get done, but looking back, they don't align with me anymore. You know, things change so much in a year, which is also why I recommend setting your year up into quarters. But we will get more into that in part 2 of this series. But for now, do that. Now, moving on to the next step, journaling. Journal about the year prior. And before you jump off this episode and, you don't like journaling, you've heard it before, I truly think that it is a great way to connect with yourself. However, what I, for the longest time, have really seen journaling as, I've seen it as, I gotta write an entire page every single day, really reflect, really do all these prompts to do this deep inner work every single day. No. I am trying to get it in my mind. This is a fresh new, paradigm or perspective that I'm trying to get into my brain, that if it's only a sentence a day, that's okay. But it's exercising the muscle of journaling and sitting down, and even if one sentence only gets onto that piece of paper, if you only take that pen, put it on that paper for one sentence, you can't neglect the fact, you can't forget the fact that you sat down and you thought about however you were feeling, you did some reflection, you went inside your brain and you were like, okay, how am I feeling? Or even maybe you were just really frustrated and you just needed to get that one sentence out on the page. Whatever. That's still progress. That is still something. Even if most of the stuff that the reflection went on in your head, that's okay. That is okay. Obviously, like, being able to put it to paper, it really does help you see things more and blah, 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 blah. I think it's great, but also from what I know about my audience that listens to the show, I want to recommend specifically for y'all, if you're not in the journaling practice, just doing that, like, inner reflection, even if it's time to sit and talk to yourself. That's what I used to do. I used to not really my brain used to go a million miles per hour, and it still fucking does, which is why journaling is still a struggle for me to get myself to do, because my hand does not go as fast as my brain does, right? However, which it does help slow down your brain, but if you have ADHD, it can be hard to do that. But I used to go to a little park, and I would sit in front of the lake, and I would just sit in my car, and I would just sit, and I'd park my car, and I'd immediately be like, good morning, Jenna, because it was usually in the morning. I'd be like, hello, Jenna, good morning. How are you doing today? How are we doing today? And then I'd be like, how am I doing? Because I would always, I'd park, I do a few deep breaths, I do some grounding exercises where I would usually pick the color yellow, because whatever. I would pick the color yellow, and I'd be like, okay, how many yellow things can I see around me? And I would ground myself, make sure it's okay, I'm here, okay? Because there's a difference between inner reflecting and mind racing thoughts, okay? Inner reflecting is more so, you're almost talking yourself through a process. You're almost talking yourself through it. It's almost like getting on a phone call or a FaceTime with a friend, except you're doing it with yourself, And you can, if you have a car, do this in your car. You don't have to do this around anybody. You don't have to be walking on the street being like, hey, Jenna, how are you? And people be like, what the fuck? Who is she talking to? Which also, if you have an AirPod in, people are going to assume you're, talking on the phone or something. But whatever. Now, if you are into journaling, or even maybe you're not into journaling and you don't necessarily want to set it as a practice for this whole year, you don't want to set it as a habit, that's not really just whatever, it wasn't really on your mind, you're hearing me talk about it, you're not really interested, try journaling just for this reset, right? Try journaling just to reflect on 2024, because journaling can be the best reflection exercise, because what's going on in your brain, once you get it out either in word form and then you're hearing it back instead of just hearing it in your brain, you're going to hear it differently. That also goes a step further. It's if you're writing it down and you're slowing down your thought process, you're writing it down, you can look back and read it. When you're hearing it, when you're saying it out loud, you're hearing it in real time, right? But when you're writing it down, you have time to go back and look at it afterwards. When you're speaking it out loud, when you're speaking it into existence, when you're writing it down, you really do realize a lot. A lot more than what's going on in your brain. Because brains can be this clusterfuck, honestly. They can be it's just so many things going around. Once you talk yourself through the process, or you write down something, you're just able to see it so much more clearly. But anyways, that is about journaling in general. Now, journaling about the year prior. Okay, first off, why even journal? Why is it important before moving forward? You need a foundation to work from. You need to figure out where you are. Because if you're going into 2025 straight off the bat setting goals, how do you know what goals to set? You have to have a starting point. If you know where you want to be, where you want to get, to know how to get there, you need to know where you're at. Think about it. If you're pulling up your GPS knows where you are. And if you type in your location, it knows what your starting point is, okay? And this, I do want to stress so much, and I will talk about this so much more in part 2, of starting at your starting point. Someone else's starting point may not be your starting point. Honestly, it's probably not. Everyone has a different starting point, and that really determines the steps you take to get to your final goal, okay? But you need a foundation to work from. You also need to realize everything that you've done, everything that you've accomplished. Acknowledge all the areas where you still need growth. Okay, I wrote this little analogy down, so I don't know if it'll make sense at all, but your plants, think about a life garden, which I love the analogy of a life garden. But so if it makes sense to you, okay, hear me out. Your plants won't grow if you don't even acknowledge that they need water or need more water than you're currently giving them. Sure, you can just aimlessly pour water all on the ground, hoping that it'll hit a seed and grow a plant. Or you could take a minute to ask yourself, what do I want to grow? What do I want to grow? And where do I need to water for those plants to grow? Also, along with that is planting the seeds for success, which we'll dive into in part 2 of the series of, what even are the seeds? Like, how do you plant them? How do you know what to plant? Oh, and if it wasn't clear already, water is a metaphor for energy, or time, energy, and money. Time, energy, money. Those are really the 3 currencies. And like attention, but I feel like that goes with time and energy, honestly. But time, energy, money. Those are the 3 currencies that the world we're living in runs off of, right? So that's your water that you're pouring into whatever buckets, whether it's like a certain goal or that water is a certain plant. And you only have however much water. You only have however much energy. You only have however much. You're only given however much now. Now, if you're smart about it, you'll pour your water into a bucket that will give you more water. It'll fill up your bucket as well. May not all the way, it may take some time, say working out, eating healthy. There is effort that comes with it. You got to put time, energy, money, at least at the very minimum, time and energy. But then, eating healthy, that takes money, time, energy, money. But those are things that if you pour water, energy, time, money into, they're going to fill your cup back. They're going to fill up your bucket of water, because eventually that's going to give you more energy. Now, if you're constantly giving your water and your energy, your time, your money to something that is not filling back up your cup, it's not filling back up your bucket, filling back up your, okay, whatever. It's not, you know what I mean. Then you're just going to be depleted. And you're not going to have, if you're constantly giving all your energy, time, and money to something that is not going to fill you back up, how do you expect to keep that? Like, eventually you're just gonna have less and less and less, and your water hole is just gonna be dwindling. And then because your bucket's been neglected, maybe it gets rusty, maybe there's some holes, maybe it just doesn't hold the water as well, maybe whatever, maybe it's rusty so it has problems pouring the water, whatever it may be. So that is why we need to be intentional. The big word for this year is intentional, by the way. Our word for 2025 is intentional. Okay, we're going to be living this year so fucking intentionally. And it's going to be awesome. But, and me and you together, okay? We're in this because I need someone to hold me accountable. And so that's going to be y'all. And I really think that me sharing kind of, because I'm not necessarily even coming from a place of I'm almighty, like I know it all. Honestly, fucking no. Like, I'm just telling you in real time, like, what I'm learning. As in, like, I learned this the other fucking day, like, about myself. Like, I realized that I needed reflection just a couple days ago. And so, me realizing that, I'm like, shit, that really is fucking important. That really is important. Let me hop on and tell y'all, okay? So y'all can live intentionally delusional. But anyways, yes. But yeah, if it wasn't clear already, the water is a metaphor for time, energy, money, and the plants are all the goals you want to accomplish, the relationships you want to flourish, your own interests, your hobbies. It's your life garden, okay? So you have to be so intentional with where you put your water and with what seeds, what plants you're pouring them into. Okay, I'll just say that. Now, I do want to quickly go over, so like I was saying earlier, how I found so much about myself. I had no idea. Now, let me tell you, not many of the things that I accomplished were on my goals list. Like, the things that I was like, shit, yeah, I got that done, were not anywhere near, like, and not that they weren't anywhere near, like, I accomplished some of the goals that, like, I had plans to accomplish, like, for sure. Some of them I didn't, some of them I did. But if you just, that's also why it's important to journal and really reflect for a second. If you just look at what you plan to do and you decide, okay, did I do it, did I not do it, which is what I used to do, you're not really getting the whole of it. You're forgetting and not recognizing a lot of the stuff that you probably did. So, for this, I want you to, if it is safe to do it right now, do it. If it is not, then maybe save this episode, come back to it later, write a note down to do it later, whatever. If it is safe to do so, pull out your phone. If it's not, if you're driving, which so many people do, listen to a podcast while driving. So I don't want to promote pulling out your phone while driving, or maybe you're walking and you need to pay attention, whatever. If it is safe and accessible to do so, I want you to pull out your phone. Yes, right now, pull out your phone. If it is safe, okay. If not, come back to this episode later and listen to it. But if it is safe, pull out your phone and look at your camera roll, okay? Type in 2024 in the search bar. Okay, specifically, I'm acknowledging iPhones, but I mean, you can do this for any phone. I'm just the actual process of looking at it is for the iPhone. But go to your camera roll, type in 2024 in the search bar. Now go all the way down to the very beginning of 2024. Take a quick glance through your year. Scroll through. There's January, there's February, there's March, there's April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. Okay. Duh, you know all the fucking months. But I was saying that so you can scroll along while I was saying it. But take a quick glance. I pretty much guarantee there's so much shit that you forgot you did. There's so much things that you either forgot you accomplished, or you forgot, hey, damn, I really went through that. Damn, I survived that. I really, all that happened this year. And whether it's something really good you did or something really awful that happened, sometimes you just forget. And I do want to bring attention to something bad that happened, okay? If something bad, really traumatic happened in 2024, I'm not saying that must have been such a good thing. Yeah. No. Okay. What I do want to say though is to be able to but to be able to make it through a traumatic experience, you most likely learned so much about yourself and grew so much as a human being that in and of itself needs to be recognized. You probably grew so much as a person. You probably had to find strength that you didn't know you had. You probably had to find it. It might have been the hardest year ever. But guess what? If you're listening to this right now, then you are alive. If you're listening to this right now, you've made it through 2024. And I'm so fucking proud of you, okay? Because that in and of itself, okay? And I really do want to stress this because I don't want to be over here promoting a toxic productivity or hustle culture or anything like that. I want every single person listening right now to realize the fact that you are listening to this, the fact that you are listening to my voice right here, right now, means you made it through 2024. You made it through the entire year. All the struggles, all the hardships, all the shit that got thrown your way this year. You fucking made it, and you did it, and you got through it, and you're in 2025, bitch. You're gonna make it your bitch, honestly. And I'm gonna help you, and we're gonna get there together because we're gonna fucking own 2025 together. I'm fucking tearing up. Why? But anyways, I'm so proud of you. So fucking proud that you made it into 2025. Why am I crying? I cry every time I record. I swear to God. Every time I sit down to record an episode for Intentionally Delusional, I fucking cry. Okay. Anyways, my point is, I'm so proud of you. And if you know me personally, then I'm probably extra proud of you. If you don't know me at all, if I don't know you at all, I'm still proud of you. Don't think that doesn't mean anything. You made it through this year. That is a fucking accomplishment that is so looked past. Because, like, not everyone did. You know, some people couldn't take it anymore. And, like, I don't really want to, like, talk about that. But also, but I do want you to realize, I do want you to acknowledge that you did it. You made it through 2024. And even if it was really hard, you did it. And that is fucking amazing. And you're a fucking rock star for it. Okay, I don't want to cry anymore, so we're going to move off this topic. But anyways, while you're looking through your camera roll, okay, the camera roll is more so just like to jog your memory, really realize that like there's probably a lot that you got done this year that you didn't necessarily have on your goals list, but maybe opportunity came up, maybe things happened, maybe I don't know, life circumstances changed, maybe there was something you did that you thought you would have never done before, but you did. Like, that's huge. Okay, that's huge. Okay, so I want you to recognize that, because when I did this, I felt tremendously fucking better. Like, I need to stop cussing in this podcast. There's so much that I didn't have planned. I didn't plan to do this year. They weren't on my agenda, but I did, and it grew me so much as a person, and they're such big accomplishments, okay? But moving on, well, kind of relating to that and kind of relating to the journal still, I want to give y'all some prompts to work off of, to really, if you are interested in diving deeper into reflecting on your 2025, I do want to give y'all some suggestions. Okay, my camera battery died, and I realized how awful the lighting is now that I waited at this time of day to film. So we're gonna wrap it up, but I do want to give y'all something tangible to walk away with before leaving this episode. Okay, and it is what I heard in the Mel Robbins podcast. She was talking about a yearly audit that she does, and that there's 7 questions in this audit. Okay, and I wrote down those 7 questions, and I want to share them with y'all, because I really want y'all to journal about them, because I think it's great. I like her audit. Okay, I like the questions that she has in it, and so I want to share them with y'all. Number 1. So you can use these as journaling prompts. You can even just think about it, ponder on it, whatever is right for you. You don't necessarily have to get a journal out and write a whole page for each of these questions. If you just want to simply read them or hear them and think about them, that's fine. Okay, it doesn't need to be all this and all that. Do what you need to do. Okay, just try to incorporate it in some way if you feel like it, or you feel like any of these questions resonate with you and you'd like to explore them deeper. I recommend trying. Okay, give it a shot. Okay, question number 1. What were the highlights of 2024? Question number 2. What were the hardest parts of 2024? Number 3. What did you learn about yourself in 2024? Number 4. What are you going to stop doing in 2025? Question number 5. What are you going to start doing in 2025? Question number 6. What are you going to continue doing in 2025? And question number 7. What can you do today to take the first step in that set of directions? Okay. There we go. Okay, those are the questions that I recommend journaling about or something like that. But anyways, and I want to, in each of these episodes for the series, give y'all something tangible to walk away with. So that is kind of my, like my inspo content. Like, I don't really know what to name it, but like a piece of content that I would suggest for y'all, or maybe that like gave me ideas for this podcast, or maybe have helped me to get to a certain mindset, things that I've listened to recently. So there's a couple things I want to direct y'all towards. Okay, first off is the Mel Robbins podcast, like that specific podcast episode. I forget what it's called, but it's something about 2025 and a yearly audit or whatever. But that, and I just gave y'all the questions. So basically, there you go. But then also, I've been really, really inspired. Not necessarily like I didn't get inspo for this episode for it, but I've just been in general and so in love with his content, because I found him like 2 days ago or something like that. Like yesterday I found him. Oh my god, I love him. Okay, he's on YouTube. His name is, well, he also has a podcast. I'm sure he does a fucking lot of stuff. He's on a lot of stuff, but his name is Ali Abdal. Holy shit, I love him. I guess he's like I mean, his thing on everything says the world's most followed productivity expert or something like that. So there's that. But also, it's not a toxic productivity. Like, if I would have heard that before listening to him, I would have been like, yeah, like, I'll give it a shot, see what he has to say. But it probably has something to do with toxic productivity. No, babe, he holds your hand. He holds you, and he doesn't like say, he's not like, I'm going to hold your hand while saying this, but you have that feeling. Like, he holds your hand while telling you the truth. Like, it's just, and it's just so inspiring. And just his video style, I'm obsessed with his video style and just all of it. Yes. So if you're looking for more people to follow or look into, those would be my 2 suggestions for specifically this episode is the Mel Robbins podcast, and then the Ali Abdal, his YouTube channel specifically. I haven't listened to or seen any other content by him. I do know he has a podcast called Deep Dive, but other than that, I haven't listened to it yet. I followed it because I do want to listen to it eventually, but for now, that's all. But yes, okay. There's kind of been a lot in this episode, but overall, I do want to stick with my point with going back to this episode was really, I want you to take the time. All in all, I want you to take the time to reflect and recognize all you've done in 2024. Recognize where you're at. Get a starting point. Because now that you have this starting point, now that you're going to go back, re-listen to this episode to get the questions, you're going to take the steps, whatever, you're going to reflect, you're going to do the things we talked about in this episode. Now that you are going to do that, you'll have a great starting point. Like, you're going to know what your starting point is, okay? You're going to be ahead of the game because you're going to have a starting point, okay? And once you have a starting point, next time we're going to look at the goals, okay? And we're going to look at what is the destination we want to get to, okay? And then we're going to look at how we get there. What is that path? What is that path like to get there, okay? So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 3-part series, but that is all for today's part 1 or today's episode. I do want to thank y'all so much for listening. I don't know if the video is going to work. Hopefully it does. There might be some snippets cut out of it. It may be bad lighting. I may look janky. Like, I don't know how that's going to turn out, but I really did want to give y'all something. So yes, that is all for today's episode. Yeah, definitely come back for part 2 and part 3. Honestly, I would shout out the podcast socials right now, which I'm pretty sure the TikTok is intentionally.delusional, and if there's an Instagram, I think it's at intentionally delusional pod. I'll have everything linked below, but I don't necessarily post on those anymore. That is in my 2025. I do want to give the podcast a rebrand, and not necessarily even well, I guess it is a rebrand, but put some energy into it, because honestly, I really haven't put energy into the podcast, like the social platforms for it, and I really do want to make a new logo and all that stuff. So we'll get to all that next year. But for now, you can follow me. All my socials are at It's Jenna Rose, which I finally did. They were all something different before, and I think I got them, all of them, to be at It's Jenna Rose. No, at It's Jenna.Rose. Everything will be linked below. Everything. It'll all be linked below. But yes, thank y'all so much for listening. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day or rest of your night whenever you're listening to this. And I hope to see you in part 2. Okay. Bye, guys.